What structure should I adopt to create the results I want to create? So what I mean by this is, for us to change, for us to get the effects that we want, we have a certain way that we are being. We have a certain attitude on how we're looking at life. It's coming through our perceptions, our focus, and all of that sort of stuff. But we have an attitude, and to shift the attitude, to shift to another structure, we must change our attitude slightly on how we see things, on what we're willing to do, on how we're willing to be. And it's quite often just a very subtle little shift in ourselves to be more accepting, to be more open, to be more flowing, to be to maybe help a little more, to maybe go and do something different. Yet often we get caught, and we get caught in our rut where we're running and seeing things a certain way, and we just continually keep seeing things that same way, and we stay stuck in the structure that we're in. Now, to shift the structure, we have to get into the attitude of having an attitude that we want to change. So it's like a two-step process. First, you have to be willing to look at your attitude. Are you willing to make a change in your attitude? Because until that gets done, the other stuff won't happen. But you've got to be willing to do it. And it comes down to a choice. And when we look at the willingness that we have there to change our attitude, we look at it and we may begin to start changing our attitude, and then guess what happens? Our old resistance will come up, our old identity. And if we are flippy-floppy or not willing to be present in that, and willing to change our attitude, to change how we are being, how we are perceiving life, then we will soon fall back into that old attitude and go back to sleep. But we get these little opportunities that stir inside of us, that we see our structure, we see what's going on, we see how we're playing life, and we are not choosing. We say we want to change, but we resist, and we hang on to the resistance of our old attitude. And as we hang on to the resistance of that old attitude, and then we try and change our structure, we find we get met with resistance and nothing really changes. So the first part about what we're going to look at is, well, hold on, I need to change my attitude to my attitude on change. I need to look at what's my attitude towards the attitude of change. And when we look at that, well, no, I'm willing and open. And then as soon as you have that first bit of pushback, what happens for you? Do you go into a responsive pattern, or do you go reactive? And both of them are oscillating structures and the dysfunctional behaviors. And this is where we use our awareness, because the attitude that you've been being in the structure is the attitude that you have of yourself in being. And so we turn the lens a little bit further back onto ourselves and ask the question to ourselves, who am I being to have this attitude on the way that I go about my current structure? Who am I being? And you'll find that different aspects will start showing themselves. And then you get the opportunity there to look at it and go, oh, am I okay being that? Am I okay being that belief or that perception of myself, or and that belief and perception of life? Am I okay being that? Because, and the way you get to know whether you are or not is you look at your life. Are you happy and content there? Are you getting great results? And if you are, great. You are, keep going ahead with that attitude on that place there. But if you're not, then who you're being is, there's some conflict there. And that's where we get excited, because we get to recognize, well, I can change this by just changing my attitude of my being here. So this attitude that I'm being, I look at it and go, oh, okay, so well, who am I? Well, I'm fearful, or I always come and put myself about second or third or fifth. Well, what is it? What is it for you? When it comes to my career, comes to your work, and you're wanting to sell your product and you're not being able to sell your product. Well, who are you being? What's your attitude to your being there that you have? What's your attitude to your worth? What's your attitude to your vulnerability? What's your attitude to being exposed and seen? And you find your little trolley wheels start rattling a little bit here and there. And the thing is when you see it, you then you approach it with this beautiful acknowledgement of, geez, all I got to do is change my attitude to my attitude about this, and it all begins to change. So what happens here is you start unraveling all the structure and the old programming that you have there. And you don't got to go and try and work it out what it is. You just realize that, oh, geez, I'm being like this. I'm being short. I'm being judgmental. I'm being critical. I'm being like a doormat. People are just walking over me because I'm being insignificant, where I won't stand up for myself. I won't allow myself. My opinion does not matter. That's who I'm being. I'm being in myself. And if I'm being that in myself, how do you think others are going to treat you? What do you think the world's going to reflect back to you? And so you look at that what you have there of that there, and then you look at the attitude. Well, do I want to change it? Nah, because when I don't have an opinion, then everyone does it for me, and I just sit on my butt. Cool, keep doing it. It's a premise. It's a way of living. If you don't like the results, you change it. If you want to make changes, then you need to look at who you're being. It's all reflective. If I'm always late, I'm being that. I have an acceptance in my attitude around this, that I have an acceptance in my being that there's not enough time. It's not right, real, or true. It's just a perception that's there, and it's just an attitude that's how life is. Well, what structure should I adopt to create the results I want to create? And all that you do there is you shift the attitude. I'm going to make an attitude that I'm never late. I'm going to be on time. Or whenever I get there is always the perfect time. I'm going to give up trying to be on time. I'm just going to be, everything's always going to be perfect. Or I'm going to give up trying to make people happy. I'm just going to be happy in myself. I'm going to be happy in self. And the funny thing is in being happy in yourself, other people will be happy with you, because in being and happy in yourself, you're not going to be in conflict with anything. You're going to be happy in yourself. And one of the things that you'll notice as the change begins to happen and come in to you, you're doing the work internally. And so you will change your attitudes very slightly inside of you on how you choose to be. And when you shift that, you then begin to create a new structure on how you go. But it starts back there. And the way that we change our attitude is the first step is to have gratitude. Have gratitude for where you are. So we've got to do things in a certain way. And when we do them in a certain way, we recognize that things are. So if you have more gratitude about having more time, having better health, having your product selling, you are in gratitude for the abundance that is around you, that it's just flowing everywhere. It's like in nature, it's everywhere. If you are just in gratitude with that. So you take a look for a moment at your attitude of gratitude. How's your attitude towards gratitude? Are you open? Do you do it sometimes? If you look at your results that you're getting, it'll show you what your attitude's like, what your towards gratitude. Do you have some energy of deserving? Do you have a belief in you of that you're going to do everything yourself? And the silly thing about it is we get into these patterns and these ruts and these structures that we've been running for so long. And we think, oh, geez, it's going to be hard to get out of the structure, or hard to get out of it. Well, no, it's not. It's just the choice. It's like when you're driving to work every day and someone shows you a quicker way to get to work. How long does it take to change your old pattern? You do it straight away. Saves you time. And so for you to shift your attitude, it's just a thought. It's a decision that you make or a choice. But the only way that you're going to change that choice and get it and stick to it is because you have a good end result that you want. Because if you don't have a strong end result that you want, then you're just waving all over the place. But if your end result of what you're wanting to create is strong and you know what it is, and you're coming up against this resistance and you realize that your attitude on the way that you're going about something isn't working, then you realize you need to change the structure. And then you ask yourself, well, what structure should I create or adopt to get me on my end result? Because if you're driving from New York over to LA, and then halfway across there, you go, Jesus, I'm heading towards San Francisco. Well, you know you're not going to end up in LA. So you have to make an adjustment. You were taking a certain road. You come to a Y. Okay, which way am I going? Or a T intersection. Which way do I take? You make a choice. And you can sit there as long as you want. It's up to you. But so long as you're on the road to San Francisco, wishing that you were going to LA, you're going to end up in San Francisco because you haven't changed the structure. The structure has integrity. And we recognize in our attitude to our structure, because you can be mad as you like about your structure, but your structure is going to do the same thing every time. You can be peed off with the results that you're getting in any area of your life where it's not working. But that structure that you're in that's creating those results, when you look at it, it has integrity. You're putting in a certain amount of energy, which is coming from your attitude or whatever, and then you are taking certain steps and you get that same end result. It has integrity. It must do it.